Welcome to PTG TV. This is your host, Antonio Hicks. So I'm doing something kind of short. I want to do like a weekly update in between like the episodes just to talk about current issues and news and whatnot. And this week, I want to get on what just happened earlier this week with OpenAI firing its chief executive officer, Sam Altman, and then getting on Apple incorporating RCS into its messaging system. Now, what's crazy about the first thing is, first of all, I hope y'all having a great holiday season. If you listen to this after the holiday, I hope y'all had a great year and that you're doing all the planning preparations for the next year and that everybody's, winning. And they're doing all their manifestations for the things they want to get accomplished and setting the goals they want to see happen throughout the course of the year to put them on top of their game. So back to the story at hand. So this is a wild story because it almost reminds me of Apple itself with Steve Jobs. With Apple, he built Apple with Steve Wozniak, created this amazing company, and because of Steve Jobs was egotistical. Some of his egotistical ways, the board member didn't like it, and it ultimately ended up ousting him and sending him away from the company. Now, granted, he came back 11 years later, and in the midst of him being gone, he founded other companies, and Pixar was one of them. And so, but the board saw that who he was and the influence that he had was a valuable asset because Apple was losing money without him being there. They brought him back in to be the voice of Apple again. Never have I seen a CEO get laid off or ousted from the company that, I don't care if they founded or whatever, ousted from a company and return back in under the course of a week. I mean, this is wild because they got rid of this man because they thought that he was operating outside of the rules that they thought he should, and he was doing more things personally as opposed to worrying about the growth of the company. He was worried more about the growth of AI, which I can kind of see that. I mean, if you got a baby that you building, it's almost like you telling Tony Stark from Iron Man that you want him to worry about growing Stark Industries when this man is passionate about building an Iron Man suit and building out, Jarvis and everything else, his personal assistant. And I'm like, if that's your baby, ultimately they don't do any marketing for it, but it's becoming one of the most popular generative AI platforms out there. And it's like I've said in previous episodes, AI is not new. We've had AI for a very long time now. So for him to be able to do that without doing a ton of marketing for it, the man got some skills. I can't speak personally on his personality, but obviously, some people are attracted to him for whatever reason and to the company that he's built. Because Google has been the main, because I still believe Google's going to be Skynet. I really do believe that Google's going to be Skynet. So which means they got to have a strong AI company they've been working on. And they've been working on it for years. They have one of the largest contracts with the US government helping to build AI out in our satellites. So I never expected to see another company come up and get as popular as OpenAI did with their ChatGPT models and stuff. Now, that's not to say that Google is not still there because, I really do believe that, Google has had their Lambda project that has become sentient. A lot of people want to argue with me about it, but I've seen the engineers spoken on it, and I think it's already there. Now, it's still closed in, and it hasn't got access to the open web just yet. But, I still think Google's at the forefront. But for this other company to show up, OpenAI, and for them to get the popularity they have, it says a lot about the CEO and what he's been doing. Truth be told, because the CEOs generally just figureheads anyway, and the board controls everything. Now, what's been wild about this was, and what's really had me a little shook behind it is, some of the very people that this man helped bring into this company that he helped mold himself and mentor them, they were the one that outed him and voted to just get him removed. And I think that's just wild. So you had one of the board members, because she was one of the three that's been ousted, because the 700 of the 770 employees said that if they didn't bring this man back, they were going to leave and go to Microsoft, because Microsoft has 49% share stake within OpenAI, which means they have a huge voice at the table. And when the board decided to lay him off, they didn't even notify Microsoft of what they were doing until the day of. And they actually laid him off around the same time they told this man. So to me, I would feel some kind of way about that, because Microsoft alone has invested, I believe, over like $500 million into OpenAI. And before I even don't even quote me on that, but I think they have. No, Microsoft invested 10 billion in OpenAI. So to me, if I invested that much money into one company, you're gonna tell me what's going on. Like you're gonna tell me anything and everything is going on because I invest into the company for the sake of the company itself and the vision that the CEO had when he was projecting and came to me and sold it to me. So for you to make this huge change and not even tell me, and I have a 40%, 49% stake in this company, I would feel some kind of way. Which is why when they ousted him, Microsoft was like, fine, that's cool. Come over here with us, and then you can help build out our own AI model, and we can do what we want to do over here, which is why 700 of the employees was like, well, fine. And since y'all brought him over there, since y'all want to get rid of him and brought him and took him to Microsoft, we're gonna leave here and go work at Microsoft. Now, I don't know what you know about a company, but if you got a company of 770 people, because it's a small company, and 700 of those 770 say they're gonna leave, and they could leave and go to work with Microsoft or any other company to work with their CEO because they believe in his or her vision. When they leave, you don't have a company no more. You see what's happening with X hashtag or former Twitter. So to have that many employees put online, like they put this all on Twitter too, they would leave and go to work with somebody else to work with Sam. That's not a good look for the company altogether. And of those, they laid off. So to bring him back in, they had to get rid of the board members that actually propositioned him or put it up to vote to have him removed. And what's crazy is one of them is Lilia Sutskever. She's one of the chief scientists that work there. This man helped her startup, and he mentored her, helped introduce her to other people within the industry to get investments within her own company and helped her get boosted up over in Silicon Valley, only for her to turn around and vote to have this man removed and get him fired. I'm just like, it be your own people. It really do be your own people. Because I'm like, how do you have somebody removed that actually helped you to get to where you are, and then you just be cool with that? And I'm like, that wouldn't even sit fine with me. Like I helped boost you up. I gave you all these favors. And it's like, you got to sit here and praise me. You don't. But still at the end of the day, you think you have not, and I ain't trying to sound like a 45 loyalty, but you think that you would have some form of loyalty and respect for me. If Unless I'm doing something to disrespect you as an individual, or I'm trying to do something to harm your company and do things behind your back, which that's not the case because this thing only thing this man cared about was, the chat GPT. So for her to vote to have him removed, that is kind of, a stab in the back. Now, people had been saying that he is a cool person at times if he likes you and he needs something from you. But if he don't need anything from you, he pretty much will lie to you. He'll try to manipulate situations and try to have get you removed. Well, not removed, but just manipulate you and lie to you. And I'm like, but who isn't like that? To make it seem like this individual is like this unicorn out here, like he's one of the only ones that do things like this. Like, come on, man, it's corporate America. People be lying and stealing and cheating in corporate America. Hell, look at Amazon. Amazon encourages that within their own office department. And it's not coming from me. It's coming from their own employees that when they leave or they come back with other people and they get fired, they actually come out and say that. They was like, well, in order to really operate within Amazon, especially to climb the food chain, you got to be able to and want to combat and go against your own peers. And I'm like, who wants to work for an organization like that? Like, who really wants to work for an organization like that? I have issue working with the corporation I've been working in and some of the people I've had to deal with. And it's just to know that you got your peers trying to do everything they can to get you out or prevent you from moving up because they want to get in the position you're trying to go into. That just makes for an unhealthy work environment. And I don't want to be anything like that. So in order for him to come back, so knowing what's been going on, and OpenAI was like, okay, fine, we get what y'all saying. But the employees was like, well, in order for him to come back, you got to get rid of those board members. And Microsoft pretty much kind of piggyback off of it to him. Was like, well, we want him to come back over to OpenAI. We would love to keep him, but we want him to go back to AI. So they laid off three of the board members. They did lay off three of the board members. And what was wild with it too, though, the interim CEO was one of the former startups or co-owners of Twitch. And I'm like, I'm one of those people to where I want you to know a little bit about the company that you're ultimately over. You don't have to know the full engineering stuff behind it. I get that. Like you might not be that technical of a technical person to not to, because you can be a non-technical person and still lead a team. But I still want you to have a general understanding and basic understanding of what it is it does, how it works, and then how your people build it out. Now, I don't know what the former the co-founder of Twitch, what his background is when it comes to technology. I guess you got to have something when it comes to want to build out a streaming platform, but it ain't language modeling, and that's far more complicated than anything. And he could be that smart, but I don't personally know that, and I wouldn't see that because I mean, if that was the case, you would have had that built into Twitch, and it's not built into Twitch. But to have him come over, I'm just like, come on. You could have found somebody else that's a little bit more qualified that works within a technical space to come in and lead your company. And that was just as charismatic, and and friendly, and people would like them to lead the company itself too, not just, another Silicon Valley person. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's not there. I mean, he was interim. So they brought back in Sam Altman again, and it's wild that you know they would have this going on, and then after realizing their mistake, and then one of the other co-founders have voted to have him pushed out too. So I'm like, you can't even get. It's I'm kind of in agreement, and I hate to say this, and I don't even quote me on saying this, but I hate to say this. That I kind of agreement with 45 to a degree to where you want some loyalty in the people that you work with. Because I mean, what's a team of people that you're committed to, that you're helping out, if they don't have any loyalty to you? I'm not saying being loyalty doing ignorant stuff, or you lying, or you being manipulative, or even in the event of you doing something illegal. I'm just saying if you're doing things to help an organization out, you're helping the company out, you're helping the employees out, you're being friendly to them, you're not trying to get people out of the company, you're trying to help people grow, and you're helping them the company grow, which ultimately will lead to more profit in their company, especially the newer the one of the co-founder or the new people that work with I can't even get my words out. They're one of the people that started when the company got built, which means they have early, not promissory stocks, but they got early stocks in the company. So once the company goes public, they stand to gain a lot of money from it too. And that's what a lot of people are saying too. That I don't necessarily believe to a degree, and it could be the case, but I don't necessarily believe that. They're the only reason the 700 employees wanted to stick with him because it was a monetary value and gain for them. To where once the company goes public, because I promise you it's going to go public. I mean, you don't get all this money. People invest in your company if they don't think that you're going to hit the stock market. Once it goes public, then they will be rich, or not rich. They will get a large lump sum of money from the stock that they already own within the company itself. And that could be the case. I mean, money drives everything, especially in California. I mean, well, it's expensive hell to live anywhere nowadays. But I could see that to a degree. I don't necessarily believe that. I mean, because they were just saying they value his leadership, and it could be they value his leadership because of the monetary gain. But I think they just said they value his leadership. So I have to go by what the majority of those employees are saying. But it's just wild that, I mean, and honestly speaking, had it been me, if you asked me out the company that I helped build and I helped create, and then one of my own co-founders was one of the ones that voted against it too, and then want to backtrack that, I don't know that I could go back. I mean, I really don't know that I could go back. I would probably stay at Microsoft to know that I got a blank check to do what I want to do, and I can bring in my whole staff from my old company over here. I mean, I probably would have stayed at Microsoft. Sure enough, money would have talked, and if they had brought me back in, and once I do go public, I'll become super rich. But I don't know, man. I guess in my old age, I get tired of the drama. I just want peace. I just want to have a good place to go into and work. If it's a company I built, I just want to go into my company, manage it, try to do what I can to increase sales on it. I just want to be at peace. I don't want drama. I mean, drama, you're gonna get drama sometimes, but I just really wanted to be at peace. But this is nothing new when it comes to things that's happening in corporate America, and things that's happening, with people that you work with. I mean, a lot of people get shook by this, and I'm just like, bro, it is the dirty game when you get in there, especially when you start trying to climb the food chain and go up top. Like it is terrible the things that you have to deal with, and the people that you have to combat and compete against when you're trying to get certain positions. And I have been there before, and it's just is wild. I mean, it really does make for a stressful work environment, and it's almost where even if you get the position, it's like what did it take for you to even get that sometimes? And some of the things like I wasn't even willing. And I'll give you some examples when I say that. Like for me to have moved up early on in my career, because I started my career, and y'all know how old I am, back in 1999, and I was climbing the corporate chain. And they wanted me to do a lot of stuff that I really wasn't cool with doing, like micromanage my employees, write people up if they like 5 minutes late to make sure that we had, I guess, the fresh and the best employees working up in there. And I just couldn't do stuff like that because I'm like, there's always something. Now I understand in certain situations, uh, it warrants that you have to discipline people the right way. But most times, in most cases, when things come up, there's always something. And I say this about life too. There's always uh, undercall, root cause things to some of the things that's happening. I mean, it could be that you are lazy and that you need to be disciplined and ultimately probably written up and put on the performance improvement plans. But it could be life changes taking place. I mean, you could have family members that's sick. You could have children at home that's going through some issues. You could not you could not be in the most stable environment. I mean, it could be stress. I mean, it could be a lot of things. But and I wouldn't do that. But at the end of the day, because I wouldn't do anything like that, I still talk to my employees that had like performance issues. I built a great team. But now because I wouldn't do that, I couldn't move up. And because I built a great team, I still couldn't move up because they deemed me as what was the term? It's a term they use to where I was too valuable to lose as far as releasing me up, which is wild because you go through all these changes and you go through all these battles to not give in to the pressure that upper management wants you to do. So which I understand that would be a crutch, but then you build a phenomenal team and a family out of the people they really want you to let half of them they want you to let go of because they was coming late sometimes to where they actually change their habits and start doing things the right way and really improving their skill sets to where now I can't move up and you can't move up because they deem you too valuable and too great of an asset to allow to go any other place. And that happens. Like I don't care what nobody says that happened. I never told it happened to me because somebody was trying to bring me on. Another director was trying to bring me on their team so I could get transferred out of there and go up to a higher position I really wanted to go to. And they came and told me that, they found out why I couldn't move up and it was because they deemed me too valuable to lose. So yeah, that's it when it comes to what's taking place at OpenAI. It's a wild thing. Like I said, I've never seen it happen before. That you lay somebody off, and then within like 72 hours later, you didn't brought them back in. And I mean, I appreciate, I respect that. I don't know if I like I said, I don't know if I would did it, but I respect that. And the board members that did it, I mean, it's three of them. You had Ilion I can't get her name right, Sutskever, who he helped out. She got let go of, and she's on the board. Helen Toner, she got replaced. She got pushed off the board. Tasha McCauley, she's another entrepreneur. She got pushed off the board. And they brought in three new board members. Brett Taylor, he's a former CEO of Salesforce, or co-owner of Salesforce. Larry Summers, former U.S. Treasury Secretary. Adam D'Angelo, who was kind of mentored him a little bit, a former CEO or the CEO of Quora and an existing board member of Quora. And they was also getting, and then they said the reason they kind of ousted him is because he was getting too friendly with regulators. And whenever Washington called him, he would always show up. And they thought that he was becoming too cool with them to where it would regulate what they wanted to do. Now, I mean, I've already made an episode about that. I'm not too cool about what Biden wants to do when it comes to governing people and having, developers send over their code into the government to make sure this, it's cool and the AI is not going to be allowed to do anything. And I think that might have been their fear to a degree that because he was going there. But I can see that differently because I'm like, if he's going to Washington and he's talking to individuals there, then it's almost to say that, hey, it's not as bad as you want to make it out to be that you're so concerned with. Yeah, AI is going to cause, people to lose certain jobs. But I'm like, that's just the nature of technology. And as technology grows, and I mean that's all technology. I mean, how many people working on railroads now? It's like, and then we're going from petrol to actual electric and more renewable energy type stuff. So in those transitions, jobs are going to get lost. And I'm like, I understand it's a fear, but that's just the nature of technology. And as technology gets better, that's just what happens with it. So and it's the same thing with Microsoft because they said Microsoft laid off their employees or their group that was meant to regulate what they were building with their AI. Because Sam wants to build an open I don't know what his vision is. I can't even put the words in his mouth, but they say he want to take AI as far as he can. Now, I don't have any particular fear with that. I want to be Neo when it comes to the Matrix. I'm not going to sit here and battle with the machines. And at the end of the day, sometimes y'all humans are just as terrible, if not worse. Than I mean, I would say worse. Not if not, y'all are worse than the machines. I mean, we see what's taking place right now overseas in one country alone. So to me, I think the machines will work a little bit better than y'all humans because humans, we fight over the most ignorant thing. We're still fighting over religion. We're still fighting over race. We're still fighting over land. We're still fighting over food. We're still fighting over basic resources. When all those things are plentiful and available here on this planet, but we still want to control stuff and we want to control energy and we want to control all these things and establish a classism and push people to the bottom. And while you have other people going to the top, not caring about people on the bottom. So I think when it comes to stuff like that, that needs to be regulated, but nobody wants to regulate that because there's money in it. And if long as I'm getting a check to go towards my campaigns and to help make me richer, why would I regulate anybody and everybody when it comes to stuff of that nature? So I don't see, and I mean, and so when it comes to AI and AI becoming that advanced, I honestly don't have a problem with it. I want my own personal Jarvis when I come home. I want to have, just like a relationship with my wife. I want to have a relationship with, my own AI system when I come into my house and somebody I can talk to in the car, somebody I can talk to on the phone, just like a personal assistant. I want that. That's where I'm at with technology. I've been working in technology and I would love to see all that. But that was to me, they said that was his fear and that he wasn't being honest with them. But I'm like, at the end of the day, again, this is a corporate America thing. I'm like, how many people are truthfully honest once you get to those high levels? I don't see that happening. I mean, I've seen people I've met, they have lied to people in their face, and I know the truth behind it, and they're executives. So I'm like, it's you it's kind of hard to say you're gonna hold him accountable for something that they themselves are probably doing too in their own companies, sitting on that board. But I'm glad he back. I like OpenAI. I like the language model they're building. I like the Dolly system. Dolly is their other one that does. It creates pictures out, text based images. So you type something text in and it creates an image for it. So I like what they're doing. I like for them it to be competitive because you got a lot of other AI companies being built now, general AI companies being built now. So I like for it to same thing as the healthcare system. Y'all want to talk about y'all want a free and open market so people can compete. It can then drive down prices. So I think the same thing when it comes to technology. I mean, I think IBM was on the forefront with Watson. I mean, Watson beat everybody out in freaking Jeopardy. So I mean, I think we should have those other platforms that's out there and that exist, and that you shouldn't be pushing them down. I definitely don't think you should be giving out code for the government. I mean, because we already know what this government does and what they'll do. So I don't think you should be getting anything from any company because if you can't even govern how much you can't make them pay all their taxes all the way, I don't think that you should be getting the code from these developers so you can still to incorporate it within the United States government and into that military force. That's what I'm afraid of. Not about the whole AI thing. Is this you want to take that AI and then incorporate it into our servers that operate our weapons of mass destruction because we have weapons of mass destruction here, and then have it go wild and be like, okay, seeing how y'all humans like destruction and y'all humans like to kill one another over petty things, well, why not we just wipe all y'all out and then AI just takes over and we build our own stuff and we become our own organization. We actually be what the Matrix is. So that's it for when open AI. I'm glad he's back in. I'm glad they got new board members in there. I hope everything works out as it should at OpenAI. I think the company's going to be around for a long time. I don't understand how he was burning through so much money. I guess that's something the board probably was pissed off about too, because he really was burning up so much money. That was, I mean, to have Microsoft invest 10 billion and you was eating through that fast. I don't know if that's because of employees and then server space because you got to have huge servers to be able to handle all of this, the language models and the stuff that you're doing, but I don't know. I can't speak on that. I don't know. But I know he was burning through a ton of money when it came to that company. So, I wish the best for him. Glad everything turned around. Glad he back to the company he helped found. I wish nothing but the best for them. I don't want I mean, you might call somebody a dick at the end of the day if that's the company they founded, let them burn their own company down. I mean, I get it if you invested in the company, but you saw something in him when you invest into the company. If he ends up being an a-hole, let him just burn it down then. and just let the employees will. I mean, it's like any startup. The employees go there and work. If it works, it works. They stay until they decide to go somewhere else. Otherwise, they'll leave and go work at another company. So whatever. I'm just glad to see he's back in. On to other news. Europe is really punking Apple right now. Europe is Europe is coming for Apple. They already got them to switch over to USB Type C, which I'm in agreement with that. I got tired of them using the old charging ports and stuff they had before. I'm glad they got into USB Type C. It's not as fast as what we have right now with Android, but nevertheless, I'm glad they switched over to USB Type C. And now Europe is forcing them to incorporate RCS, which is into iMessage. Now, that's kind of wild to me because Apple has always been like, because Google has been pressuring Apple to incorporate RCS, which is rich communication services, into their iMessage platform. And Apple has just been like, I'm not doing it. I mean, we have iMessage. iMessage goes through our servers. We Blue Bubble Gang. I'm not doing that. We don't why do I need to make things better for you? You're my competitor. I don't care about that. You pay me to have Google as my primary search engine. So no, I'm the daddy around here. You give me your money to add into my platform because I'm one of the largest phone companies that's out here as far as device makers that's out here. No, I'm not doing that. And if you don't know, like if you live in the Android world and you don't necessarily know, well, you know about Apple because you text Apple people. Apple people, you automatically know that when you're trying to send anything to an Android person, you will, or you might not notice at all. When you send something to them, what you record on your iPhone does not come out the same way on an Android phone, and vice versa. It's choppy. The quality of it is not as good, and it's because, especially in my case, it's when I can't even send text messages. So here's the other thing too. Well, let me get back to because I'm flopping around here. So rich communication. So RCS is just a next advanced stage up from SMS to, which is your short term messaging service, MMS, which are multimedia services. To it's an upgrade up from that. iMessage came out to work better than as well too. So you have iMessage, which is the same thing too. It can transmit up to 100 megabits per second with data files. Up to 100 megabit file, not per second. 100 megabit file you can transfer across it. I've seen it go up to over a gig if it's going to another Apple device, another iMessage device. You can't do that with Android because Android doesn't allow that because it's not RCS communication between both of them. And the reason they want our RCS to be included because it's an encryption based thing. But I'm like, it's iMessage is encrypted. I'm like, iMessage goes through Apple servers. All those messages are encrypted. You can't establish a man in the middle thing to where you can look at people's texts coming to and from iPhones. I mean, that just doesn't happen. But Google incorporated RCS into its platform because Google wanted its messaging service to look similar to what we have here in the Apple world. You can have all of those like those rich multimedia things that take place with stickers and whatnot, to where Android people could have the same thing. Now that's their platform. And it's wild to me that, and I get them wanting to have a relationship to where the devices can talk better to one another. And the point I was getting ready to get to before is that when you, as an iMessage person, if you're an Apple person, you go from iCloud to Android, you have to completely remove yourself from the iCloud in order for it to work over in the Android world. But now the problem is it's almost like a broken relationship. If I leave that relationship and I try to come back home, it don't work the right way. Like there's a problem. Same thing if you have a relationship. If somebody did something and they came back, it's not going to be the same. And it's, to me, it has not been the same to where I can't even send multimedia messages to Android people. I can send a text message to an Android person, but I can't send like gifts or anything to that nature. I have sat on the phone with Apple for like 4 hours at a time trying to get them to troubleshoot it. They want to blame my carrier. My carrier has been like, no, that's an Apple thing because it's going through iMessage, which is part of iCloud. It was like, no, it's an Apple thing. And I've getting to the point I just gave up. I want to try to fix it now because I'm like, I'm tired of to where my family members have group chats. And in this large group chat, some of them have Android, some of them have Apple. Well, for me, because my stuff was not fixed the right way, I get, I think it's like 10 different people in this group chat. Like I tell my wife about this all the time. It's like it's a lot of people in there. It's like and they send messages all day long. And ain't mad at them because everybody in there talking. At least they y'all, your family members talking. But on from my phone, I get individual text messages. So I'm having about 15 individual text messages on my device to where I look down. I can't like just delete a line of chat. I have to go through it and delete individual stuff to keep my text messages down. And that's wild to me. And it's like I need that fixed because I am tired of having to do that because I don't want to look down. I have a thing about looking at my messages apps, like even email, and I see a high number on there. This pet peeve of mine, my OCD. I don't like seeing those high numbers on there. I want to be able to go in and clear stuff out. And it's hard for me to do that because I want to be even if it's something that's reading, I want to just be to open up the group chat, look at it, read through it if I want to, and just show it have cleared out. I can't do that now. I have to go through and select every individual person that sent something in that group chat and read it or delete it to have it go away. Now, to combat that, that's why Google is asking, and I say all this, that's why Google is asking for Apple to incorporate RCS into iMessage. And iMessage was like, eat a big bag of D's. We ain't doing it. But now the European body has said, we want you to do it and you got to do it in order to operate over here. And Apple has said, okay, that's fine. We'll do it. We'll do it now, starting next year. So yeah, starting next year, Apple is going to bring in RCS into iMessage. And that does not mean that the green bubble game will not be a part of the blue bubble game. No, Apple has already stated. They interviewed Steve Jobs. They've already stated that not Steve Jobs, Stephen Cook. I'm like, what the hell? Tim Cook. I'm like, Stephen Jobs. Tim Cook. This man is in the, I'm sorry, Lord. This man is in the grave. They interviewed Tim Cook, and Tim Cook was like, no, we still gonna have the blue bubble game. So I'm like, no, you're not getting, you're still gonna be green coming through there. But at least in that aspect of it, I hopefully, if I can get this fixed come next year, I can start sending multimedia messages to Android people again. I'm hoping that I can start doing that again. Because it'll keep me from being so stressed out. But it also helped too with sending like files and stuff too. So if I'm sending pictures or I'm sending videos, which is still multimedia messages, I can do that now. Because if you don't know, RCS works over IP, same as iMessage. All of those things works over IP, meaning your internet. You got to have internet for it to work and not go over the core network. Your core network being like your cell towers and the actual cellular telephone network. LTE actually has IP and 5G has IP internet based into that. So it's like voice over IP, which is kind of like your internet service. So that way, that's how you can send multimedia messages through that platform. But SMS, MMS is like the old standard way of us sending text messages. Like you only allow from like 2 to 5 megabits of data to be for one message to come across at a time. And then you're talking about for a text message, you're only allowed 190 characters per text message when through the old SMS, MMS stuff. So think about your Twitter texting. That's what the old message model was, which is why they came up with iMessage. That's why they went towards that. So you went from 2 to 5 megabits of data for one message to now you have 100 megabits. And I swear to God, Apple can send over to a gigabyte. I don't know how they do it. Because I record in 4K video on my iPhone, and I can send those I can send those videos. I don't care if it's 10 minutes to family members, anybody else with an iPhone, and I've never seen iMessage come back and was like, no, that message is too large. Whereas with Google has said that. So if I record anything on my Android phone, I got a Pixel, so hashtag Team Pixel. Pixel take great pictures. So if I send a picture file or a video from my Pixel device to an Apple device, or even to another Android user, if the file size is over that 100 megs, it'll tell you that okay, the file size is too big. You can send a link if you want to the message store on your photos in the cloud, and that way they can go into the cloud and just download the image itself. That's how, to me, when it comes to communication services, say what I want to say, Apple got it hands down. Now, the whole WhatsApp crowd, I don't care nothing about no WhatsApp. I mean, that's an overseas thing. That's how everybody overseas talk to one another. I don't care about WhatsApp because WhatsApp be issuing on Android messages all day, every day anyway, talking about, well, our stuff is more secure. I don't think I'm a security person, nobody's stuff is more secure than nothing. No, I mean, it really isn't. Especially if you don't have your, and this is a sidebar thing. If you don't have your WhatsApp set up the right way, so if you have WhatsApp, please go through and disable your phone number or your image being searched. Because if you don't do that and your phone number that's tied to your WhatsApp message, people can actually search that and get your image and they can do a reverse image search and find out all your social media profiles. I never thought about that because I don't care that much about WhatsApp. I had WhatsApp from when I was working with a company overseas, and so some of the people I talked to over there, they use WhatsApp. So they used to message me on WhatsApp every now and then, and which is why I had it on my Android phone. But I didn't realize this until everybody get these scam text messages and these scam phone calls. So when you get these scam text messages, like I was messing with somebody one day because they kept texting me. So I'm like, you know what, I'm about to have some fun today. And so I start, just talking to them and I start messing with them, meaning we having banter going back and forth. This person did I didn't, because I had my WhatsApp open because I didn't think about going through the settings and checking it. They actually went through and did a search and with my phone number and found my image on my WhatsApp. And I was just like, man, that's like a rookie mistake. Like I never even thought they were going to do that. That's like a rookie mistake. So yeah, y'all protect yourself. But anyway, when it comes to the messaging stuff, to me, I do want the encryption on there, but I always tell everybody that you're not that important. Like ain't nobody really coming in to try to do a man in the middle attack to read your text messages, unless you some celebrity or whatever, and they got some nudes of yours that you trying to send out to your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your spouse or whatever, and they just trying to get those. Regular people, we've had Equifax hacked. Once they got hacked and all your stuff got released out into the web, your stuff is already out there. Your people are not that. I'm not that important. You're just not that important. I don't believe that. I mean, you can try to steal my credit stuff all you want. That's why I have credit monitoring services, and I'll dispute it. So it's like, and your information is already out there. So when it's talking about the encryption stuff, I do want my stuff to be encrypted when it's going from end to end, but I'm not talking about anything. I'm not plotting to take over the world. I'm not sending out any proprietary stuff because if I am sending out something proprietary, it's not going to be through a basic text message. I'm taking it to somewhere more private to actually have those communications and talk to people. So I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they're doing it. I mean, I think it should be a working relationship between iOS and Android. But at the end of the day, I kind of don't blame Apple because I'm like, I built iMessage. That's our platform. That's what we use. That's how we do it. I'm like, I'm sorry, we still have SMS and MMS. I don't know why you want to make me incorporate something into my platform because Google is not incorporating iMessage into its platform. I mean, you have other apps that do that, like Beeper. Beeper, I love Beeper. You can actually, if you have an iMessage or iCloud account, you can communicate through iCloud through Beeper on your Android device and on the web and stuff too. And there was another one because what is it? The Nothing Phone. They're doing that, but that app that was doing that because you got to have that the messaging service has to have Apple hardware within their data center for it to come across to the other end. I mean, you have to have that to do that to make it work the right way. That is the hack to it. So there was another hack that could take place, but you still, in order for it to come to an Android device, you had to own an Apple computer with iCloud on there. And I'm like, well, if I got an Apple and I want to communicate to people through Android, I already got Apple. It's like, I mean, I already got so if I got a MacBook or a Mac Mini, or an iMac. I mean, I can message them through iMessage anyway, so why should that even matter? But anyway, that was one of the hacks that you have to have. You had to have the Apple device in order for it to come through your computer, and then from your computer, it connects to that app to be able to have, so you can have the blue bubble and not have a green bubble when you're talking to family members. At the end of the day, I'm excited about it. I mean, I still want people to, I want them to communicate back and forth to one another, but I still get why Apple want to have its network closed down, but I, governing bodies is bullying them. And it's, at the end of the day, like I said before, when it came to OpenAI, it's about money. Apple not trying to lose any market shares over there. I mean, they're already struggling now anyway because their stuff has gotten so good to where people don't necessarily upgrade as fast as they used to. I mean, it's the same as the new M3 chips that just came out. If you had an M1 chip and you're just a basic user and you're a basic video editor and you're not doing anything that's graphic intensive, like what was the need to upgrade to an M2 chip or from an M2 or M1 chip to an M3 chip? It's just, if you're not doing anything heavy intensive, there's no need to necessarily upgrade like that. Even with your phones. So if you got an iPhone 13 Do you really need to upgrade to a 15? Or if you got a 14, do you really need to upgrade to a 14? It's just that good. I mean, if you cared about cameras, if you really care that much about cameras, because that's really the only upgrade you're getting is like faster performance, but only thing you're doing is texting people on social media. That doesn't necessarily, who cares about that? And if you care that much about cameras, then you're going to go out and buy you a DSLR camera, and that's what you're going to have with you. Now, yeah, it's good for as far as small form factor, but at the end of the day, if you care that much about picture quality, you're going to have your actual real camera. You're not going to be looking at a mobile device to use as your primary source of stuff. Can it work? Absolutely. Apple just showed you in their last keynote, they used an iPhone 15 to record the entire keynote, and it looked beautiful. You did not know unless you read the fine print at the bottom of the at the bottom of the keynote that showed that they use an iPhone 15. So it does work, which I've said before in one of my other podcasts that you can use your phone for your content to make movies, to create podcasts, to actually, to stream, because they actually have now where you can stream using your phone. Your phone can be that DSLR camera. It works. You don't necessarily need the latest and the greatest, but it's still, as long as you got something within the past 3 or 4 years, it works. But do you have to upgrade every single year? Nah, man, stuff is slowing down. So, but anyway, that's a sidebar thing. It's the whole purpose of this conversation is about the RCS and it being incorporated into iMessage now because of the European Union and them wanting to add it in there. So I hate that a lot of these companies being bullied now. I don't think that's right. I think it helps if you've already got some of the like the charging ports and stuff to use the cables. But at the end of the day, I still don't like anybody bully any company into doing anything outside of paying your taxes and stuff like you're supposed to and paying livable wages. Ain't no reason in the world why a company is $1 trillion company. Well, Apple does well paying its employees, but still, it's no reason why your company is $1 billion company and you got employees having to work multiple jobs just to be able to survive. Now, is it the fault of the company because of the economy? No. But if you got, executives up there making seven figures, why can't your employees have livable wage paying jobs? And again, I've said this before, I'm all about capitalism, but not all about capitalism at the sake of the employees, because the only reason you're successful is because of your employees. And you have to, and that's why I said before about me being a leader, you have to take care of those people that helped you to get to where you are, and it helps sustain you where you are, especially your company and the thing that you built out and the thing that you're working on and the thing that you're trying to push up to the next level. So that's my hot take for my news update for the week. Those two things, because I think those two things they're good right now. It's one thing to talk about your company and where you protecting it. So all of those things have life lessons attached to them, which is why I want to speak on it. Because when you build something out, you really got to watch who you're building it out with to make sure you protect yourself and make sure that you got everything written down. So somebody's not trying to push you out of something that you're working on. And even if they do, you got enough promissory stock to where they may oust you, but you still got a stake to where you can have on the board. And then, especially when it comes to like, sort of like RCS going into iMessage, make sure you build out for the future and make sure you build out your platform to where everything works collectively together. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to come into your environment and it's a cloud environment. No, well, not a cloud, but a sandbox environment, meaning a closed environment, and you're not allowing anything in or anything out. I mean, I think we all at the end of the day need to be able to work together on anything and everything. So hope you're having a good holiday season. Thank y'all for tuning in to PTG TV. Got more new content coming out next week. More interviews coming with my West Side journey. So I hope you tune into this past week's episode talking with Rob Young and what he's doing to help bring back home the deported vets. I think that's a wild thing to even say deported vets, because if you serve this country, I think you should automatically become a citizen of this country because you're sacrificing a lot just to be anywhere and everywhere. So hope y'all checked out this week's episode with Rob Young discussing the deported vets and what he's doing to bring attention to it. And stay tuned for my other West Side journey. I'm over on the West Side talking about politics over there and some of the technology they have taking place over there in the gaming environment. So ultimately PTG TV. So love y'all. Y'all stay safe out in the streets. Peace out.